Good evening, y'all. Welcome to Knockers on the Bottom. I'm your host, J Mill 6182, J Miller, whatever you want to call me. So I'm going to get right into it. Got some unfortunate news today. Sam Williams tore his ACL in practice. Looked like it was a special teams drill with knee. That's what he went down in. That's going to be unfortunate. I know a couple of days ago I did an episode about being not as bad as you think, talking about some of the aspects of the team that people were kind of making a big deal out of, and that it wasn't actually as bad as what they were making. And, of course, speak of the devil appears. The moment I talk about Sam Williams getting more snaps, which should lead to more production, not overly more production, but I did anticipate him being, able to replace Dorrance Armstrong's sacks and then them being able to cobble together some other depth pieces to replace Dante Fowler's sacks. Here we go. That's out the window. There are some guys on the open market still. You got Ngakoue, but he doesn't quite fit what Mike Zimmer wants. He's not really a strong run defender. He's kind of just all-out pass rush. But maybe they could deploy him in a role similar to how they did with Dante Fowler, using him third downs only, specialized pass rush situations only. I don't know if he'd be up for that. I know he is an 8-sack or more guy pretty much every year that he plays a full season, so he might just be waiting for someone to get hurt and seeing if he can get a little more pay than the Cowboys would be willing to offer, and also see if he might be able to play a higher percentage of snaps. So I don't know if he would be quick to jump at what we'd offer here. We also have Calais Campbell is out on the open market as well. He's a lot older, but pretty durable, plays a lot. He does provide some pass rush. He actually also does provide some run stopping, but I kind of feel more so at this point in his career, he'd be more of an inside player than an outside player. But then again, when you don't have much to work with, you can't be too choosy. Or the Cowboys could just roll with it, play their guys. Maybe Junior Fajoko's a little bit better than all of us think, and then also maybe look to scoop up some players based on teams' cuts at the end of training camp when everybody has to go through their big roster cut down at once. Maybe somebody cuts a veteran that they like. Maybe somebody cuts, in typical Cowboys fashion, a former first-round pick that all of a sudden they like, they want to take a chance on. But to say that basically, I feel the Cowboys are basically going to try to fill this from within and sign a very low level, maybe a guy like Calais Cable, maybe a guy like Ngakoue off the street to kind of play a back seat to one of the rookies or one of the younger players. I think they're really going to throw Golston, into the fire, even though I feel he's more of an inside player. Maybe this is his ticket to getting more outside reps. I do believe Marshawn Nealon was going to see plenty of reps anyway. I think this all but solidifies Junior Fajoko's spot on the roster at this point, unless someone comes in and really blows them out of the water, one of these rookies or undrafted free agents. This actually might be Sweat's ticket to the roster as well. So I think the Cowboys are going to go that route. And if they do sign a veteran, Mike Zimmer may use him in specialty pass rush roles only. But, you're free to comment below and kind of see where you think the Cowboys might go as far as replacements are concerned and kind of what their roles would be if there's anybody out there that I didn't think of. But now on to some better news. Standout today in training camp practice, Kalen Carson. I got to watch a little bit of the training camp live, and man, that kid is all over everyone. He's got the quarterbacks looking other ways on the field. They don't want to attack him. When they did attack him, he went up and high-pointed the ball, got a nice interception, took a nice size hit too, coming to the ground, but held on to everything. He's been pretty much, pretty about as good as a draft pick as you could expect. I'm not calling the guy Deion Sanders or anything, but it does remind me a lot of Deron Bland's rookie training camp and how he stood out and how he seemed to always be making plays and always be in the right place. This guy has a lot of those same qualities. So I think I'm really excited to get to see some of these preseason games and see Carson get onto the field and see what he does against non-Cowboys. A lot of times, guys can look great in training camp, But a lot of times, too, they see the same routes on a daily basis. They see the same offense on a daily basis. We're going through the install phase right now, so we don't necessarily know what he was told, what the receiver was told, what they're trying to accomplish on a specific play that they're running on the moment. So there could be some other factors there that make him look a little bit better. That's why I'm excited to see him go against other competition where he doesn't know. Now, I know this is preseason. They're probably running about 3 routes anyway. They're probably running a comeback route, maybe a 9 route, maybe a slant, a couple hitches, but you're not going to see any deep overs, any crossers, any picks, not many wide receiver screens, flares, things like that. There's going to be a basic vanilla offense and basic vanilla defense. But the point is, he'll be going against somebody that he hasn't seen. He doesn't know how this guy's hips drop when he's about to break in or out. He doesn't know what this guy's shoulder movements are like when he's about to break in or out. So it'll be nice to see him have to get up on the line of scrimmage, get hands on the wide receiver, and then have to read that wide receiver's body language, somebody that he hasn't seen, and react to the in breaks or out breaks or stops or fades or whatever it is that this receiver, decides to run, and see how he reacts to him. See if he's still covering just as well, if he's batting down passes, if he makes the quarterback come off that route and go to another one. Those are the things I'm excited to see, but at least we have someone else in the secondary to be excited to see. So I thought that was pretty good. Another thing that I'm finding interesting is that the Cowboys are kind of throwing about 4 different people at this center position. Brock Hoffman's getting the first rep, and then there's Cooper Beebe, but I've seen Tyler Bass take some snaps. I've seen number 65, can't get his name in my head right now, but he's been taking some snaps. So there's been numerous people taking snaps at center. I thought, going into training camp, it would kind of be Cooper Beebe, Brock Hoffman for the most part, and that TJ Bass would probably just continue to work at guard. Now, that is probably still the long-term plan. They're probably working out TJ Bass a little bit more at center just to cross-train. If you get into a game on game day and you got Brock Hoffman in there as your center, and you got Cooper Beebe as your backup center, and he's active, and you got TJ Bass, and God forbid you get 2 injuries in one game, TJ Bass can be an emergency third center. Maybe that's the reason why they're cross-training, sort of like your emergency third quarterback or your emergency kicker, emergency holder. These are all contingencies that you go through in training camp, that help you shape your roster so you don't have to go heavy at certain positions or you can go light somewhere else if you have a guy that can play 2 or 3 positions. I know we hate to talk about the Cowboys and their position flex, but that's some of the reason for working out these kinks during this time of year. Tyron Billy Johnson made a couple of nice grabs, some near the sideline, showed a good ability to adjust to catches in midair, showed the ability to kind of have some burst off the line of scrimmage. I liked what I saw there. Trey Lance, he did have a nice completion over the middle to Racey McMath. It looked like McMath kind of had to come back to the ball. Couldn't quite tell if that was completely by design or whether or not Trey Lance just threw a short pass. I'd like to err more on the side of it was by design. Trey Lance had a small window to fit the ball in, and he's been working on his timing with his receivers. He's getting second and third team reps. So a guy like Racey McMath is the guy he's working with a lot. So they probably saw the same thing. Okay, knew this route was coming in, hips drop. Okay, I got to come back to the ball. This is the only place he's going to be able to throw it. If I'm not there, that's going to fall to the ground and complete. Boom, got there. It was beautiful. It was timed well. McMath went in. One of the passes that I've seen from Lance that was one of the better ones as far as timing and location and placement since training camp has started. I've seen him struggle a little bit going outside of the hashes. He's tried to throw a few completions. As a matter of fact, his pass was the one that was intercepted by Kalen Carson. And earlier on day 1 of training camp, he tried to get one outside to Brandon Cooks and kind of overthrew him a little bit. Just a little bit high on some of his throws. Looks like he's trying to put a little bit of velocity on the ball instead of kind of just letting it go. Just throw the ball. He looks like he's trying to put a little extra oomph on there, and a lot of times we see with quarterbacks, when they're trying to put a little extra on it, tends to sell high, as opposed to just hitting your back foot, being confident in what you see and letting it go. So I know we talk about his confidence a little bit, and that he's getting a little bit more confident since he's had a full off season with the Dallas Cowboys. However, he still has a ways to go as far as confidence is concerned. Some of the other people that you might be thinking of, the running backs, Nathaniel Pete had a nice run today. I know they don't have pads on, but it was just his decision making. It was a play to the left. He had to see the hole and kind of go, and the way he made his one cut move and just straight up go, and then you saw the speed once he hit the open field, was a great run. Kind of excited to see him there in the preseason, especially when they get the pads on. Running backs, offensive line, I know the knock on him was sometimes he makes a little bit too many moves before he kind of gets going up the field. So I'm excited to see if some of that has been coached out of him. I do know we're talking about moves in college, which he might have felt like he needed to make more people miss and kind of make a little bit more jump cuts when he didn't actually have to. In some of the film I saw, if he would have just put his foot in the ground and went, he actually probably would have picked up 6, 7, 8 more yards. But in the NFL, he's going to have to be that one cut runner, especially with his speed and some of the power that we have on the offensive line in the interior. If you're looking at BB being your center, Tyler Smith being your left guard, Zach Martin being your other left guard, your right guard, there's going to be some holes, and he's going to have to be very decisive. He can't spend a lot of time, jump cutting and shaking. It's slow to it, fast through it. So he can take his time while getting there, but once he picks, foot in the ground, go. And I think his 4.3 speed will aid that tremendously. Not saying that this guy is going to be the next Emmitt Smith or even the next Ezekiel Elliott, but if the Cowboys are looking for a change of pace back to some of the thumpers that they have, he might be able to carve out a role because he has something that none of the other running backs has, and that's just straight top-end speed. But that's all for today, guys. Let me know what you think. If you like, subscribe. Put some comments below. Let me know what you're thinking. As far as who you want to see me cover, topics you want to see me cover. Like I said, in the coming days, coming weeks, I'll take a look at more running backs, more defensive linemen. Now I'll add ends to the list. So I was going to be looking at defensive tackles. I'll also be looking at defensive ends just to kind of see who else is out there. Maybe some of the names that are not your high-profile names, but that might be a good fit for a Mike Zimmer defense. And I'll bring them up, on the next coming couple of shows. But that's it. This has been Knockers on the Bottom. J Mill 6182 or J Miller if you like. Take it easy. Peace.